Welcome back to Beyond the Shell. Today we're going to be talking about Ninja Turtles, bootlegs, and knockoffs.
I don't like using the word knockoff, even though I do think it's just something that we will use as a general term for what we're going to be looking at here today. I still think these action figures and comics offer a lot of really fun and interesting stories behind them.
Yeah, and there's a whole debate between what a knockoff or a bootleg is. I think the general premise is just, these are things that are purposefully ripping off Ninja Turtles.
Even with the popularity of Turtles, you guys have to remember, the Turtles were a tribute to Daredevil, Cerebus, and many other tropes of the 80s comic scene. So, Turtles would be very influential. It would bring many pastiches out to the market that we will be talking about here today.
So, let's dive into some knockoffs.
Also, I love the Lightning McQueen bag.
You know what? I found this at Five Below. Dougie, when we're talking, you don't interrupt from the corner, okay?
Oh, why am I in the corner then, huh?
Because it's Doug's corner.
Obviously enough room on the couch. How come I can't sit on the couch with you guys?
Because without Dougie, there is no Doug's
Yeah,
corner.
Doug, we're developing the Doug's corner. We are developing Doug's corner.
Yeah.
I get that.
It's in the works.
But what I'm saying
Okay,
is,
let's move on.
oh, fuck.
So, the first figure that I'm going to talk about is a Terror Toad. This was a figure that came on a electronic skateboard that's completely oversized for the figure. This is obviously some type of knockoff from China or something, and it's of this really cool toad that's pirate themed, even has a straw hat on his back. It almost resembles the turtle shell on the back. He's got a sick eye patch, a little like sexy red number, almost like Burt Reynolds in that one movie, but he's also got the wristbands and the knee pads like the Ninja Turtles. There was also a version of this figure that's in a riding pose, kind of squat, because he comes with a green horse. The horse has nothing different about it than like a normal horse, but it's just green. It's not like a mutant or anything. It's not anthropomorphic. It's just a green horse. But this figure is really fun.
Hopefully one day we can find that, and I would definitely like to see the coinciding figures and like skateboards and stuff. Really cool figure, Drake.
Yeah, the skateboard's a little wonky, but the figure itself is just like, it blew me away for a knockoff. Like someone went out of their way to sculpt like an actually pretty cool figure. It fits perfectly into like the TMNT universe. It almost looks like it could be one of the Punk Frogs.
Now Drake, how would you say the durability of this figure stacks up?
The plastic quality is definitely a little cheap, but it's got articulation. It's a little hollow, and some of the joints get a little stiff.
That arm just worries me.
Yeah. It just didn't want to move. But it's nice enough for what it is. It's a knockoff. It's not going to be the highest of quality. The next figure we have here is a Mexican bootleg of Raphael. This stays very, very close to the original TMNT molds from the Playmates line, but varies a little bit in articulation and detail. You can even see the turtles have cuffs on their arms, which I honestly think is a really cool detail. They also came with their own individually colored robes, which I wish I had, but it was just nice to get my hands on this piece.
Even with it being a Raph figure, I feel like anyone could customize it into a Mirage Turtle.
100%. And again, it fits really nicely into the Playmates line. There's always a bunch of variants in the Playmates line, and this could just be another one of them.
That sculpt on a figure, again, I feel like with the articulation, you always risk that, like, oh my god, am I gonna break this thing?
But again, it's very cheap hollow plastic, so you see a lot of seams from the molds, and some of the paint is a little wonky, but it's amazing for what it is. Next, we have this really interesting Warrior Man knockoff Ninja Turtle figure. You may notice that this figure is in the style of a Hero Factory or Bionicle type figure. This is closer to Hero Factory though, or Bionicle Gen 2. But it's using those same parts, but with a blown up version of the minifigure head from the 2012 Ninja Turtles Lego series. Lego did figures like this for like Ben 10, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, but they never did Ninja Turtles, which is interesting because now we basically have one. This figure is an interesting one because it's got the Shredder logos on his shoulders, and Raph has swords and Sai, but he's also got a black bandana. It's almost like an evil Raph. If you even notice on the back of the packaging though, all the turtles' colors are mixed matched. There's even a yellow turtle and a gray one, and there's also a Splinter and Shredder. Really interesting figure. I may look into getting the others. And the last bootleg Ninja Turtle product I have here is even more bootleg-o. These are minifigures. It's really interesting because these are characters that we've never gotten in TMNT Lego form, so it's nice to get them. We have Rocksteady, Bebop, and they all have pizzas, an accessory, and a skateboard. We have Casey Jones, and a really cool 80s looking Krang. The other designs are supposed to be kind of based off of the second Michael Bay movie. They do also kind of look a little bit like the Fortnite designs in some manner, but I think they were trying to lean towards that. If you watch videos on this channel, you know how much I like bootleg-o stuff. It's good quality, it's fun stuff, so it's really great to get some more Turtles figures. Again, especially ones that we never got. So that pretty much wraps it up for the figures that we're going to look at today. And now Buddy's going to take it over in a second to look at some knockoff comics.
After TMNT exploded onto the scene back in the 80s, many books took influence from it. Some good and some less remembered, such as the Bushido Blade of Zatoichi Walrus, freaking Cold-Blooded Chameleon Commandos, and the Purple Snit. So, there were a ton of books that just flooded the market, guys. So, Michael Richardson would express this in the form of a funny animal character of his own, known as Boris the Bear. Boris just would go out and kill parodies of such characters as the TMNT, Usagi, Cerebus, Zatoichi, and many other black and white characters. Eventually, the book would just parody other tropes and popular trends of the 80s, such as mecha. I do really have a small spot for these books, being some early Dark Horse stuff. Love this cover of the Batman parody. It was really cool reading in issue 2, having Mike Richardson go to San Diego Comic-Con and find out that people like Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird were actually pretty amused by his comic, and even Stan Sakai got a kick out of it from what he had said in the letters page of that issue. Just another great title from early Dark Horse alongside such characters like Concrete. Next up, I'm going to be talking about some parodies that would eventually kind of involve the creators of the franchise. Creators, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, were just putting their characters out there as much as they could, putting them in such titles as Grimjack, and eventually a chance to work with one of their favorite artists, Mark Bode. Now, Mark Bode's father, Vaughn Bode, was a prolific artist, and the creators would jump at the chance to feature their characters in Miami Mail Comics #4. It would be a wild crossover and feature the Turtles in a pretty heroic manner, and Cerebus in a manner of just wanting to get out of the crossover. A very wise statement given the amount of crossovers and varying quality. Thankfully, the TMNT crossovers have been pretty solid for the most part, within recent memory. Eventually, Mark Bode would work with Kevin Eastman on some issues of the mainline Turtles book, and he'd even do a special issue called Time's Pipeline. Next up, we'd have Geriatric Gangrene Jiu-Jitsu Gerbils from Tony Basilicato.
Beautiful cover. I love the double spread here. Again, a clear knockoff of the Turtles, but just gross and dumb and fun.
I really think this was ahead of its time, seeing how it's the gross-out humor of Ren and Stimpy and the early comic zine. That's what I really like about Tony's art, being it's more of that Com-X influence compared to like traditional mainstream comics. After that, Tony would get a job at Mirage for a couple of issues doing the comic Prime Slime Tales. I know the first issue had a cover by Kevin Eastman, and it was a pretty fun kind of homage to Roger Rabbit, just being on that, oh yeah, cartoons, that cuss vibe. It is a very weird and stupid comic about a bunch of weird critters and like that babe fighting a evil junk monster or something. Like I had said in the beginning, the Mirage guys had no problem with self-parody, and I love a good self-parody, whether it be Marvel's What The, whether it be Sergio Aragones spoofing Marvel or DC, Image's homage to absurdist comics from Marvel and DC. Eventually, we would get a great and interesting homage to that in the form of a Ninja Turtles comic. That would be Green Gray Sponge Suit Sushi Turtles.
Again, with a beautiful cover that clearly is ripping off the movie poster.
One of my personal favorite movie posters, and this is just
It's a great one.
hilarious homage to it. This parody book would be done by Mark Martin, who had done some fill-in issues during the guest era of the comic, issues 16 and 21 and 22. Not some of my favorites, seeing how they were a very rough attempt at a turtle comedy story involving dimensional shenanigans. Mark definitely had a clear vision for doing very interesting turtle comics, but unfortunately it just didn't click with that initial story for me. Now this would be a great comeback though, as his comedy chops would just come through in a hilarious parody of the original movie and the more absurdist parts of that original movie. And the art would carry the book so much.
It's beautiful, and the artwork is very cartoony. The turtles are very goofy, and they have such interesting proportions. But I just love how stylized everything is.
Utterly absurdist, and it just reminds me of those crazy figures with the pizza launchers in front of them.
They almost look like tech deck dudes or something. It's
That is a
wild.
great comparison.
Really fun book, though.
The Sushi Turtles would appear in the pages of Turtle Soup for a 4-part story, along with some other Mirage artists, and that would be the last we would see of them.
Yeah, why am I still in this corner?
Dougie, I was
it's
asking...
work in progress, man.
I was asking Buddy if there was anything else that he wanted to add
Oh.
before I wrap up the video, okay?
Okay, man. Oh.
You'll be out of the corner soon.
You're gonna have your own desk, some pretty cool special effects buttons and stuff there. Just gotta be patient, man. You gotta be patient. But to conclude, these parodies, homages, knockoffs are all really fun in their own right, and I had a extremely fun time discussing them with everyone here today.
Thank you guys so much for taking this stroll down knockoff lane. Looking at some fun knockoffs and parodies, I think we've all learned that a knockoff or a bootleg doesn't necessarily mean, hey, this is something that's malicious or messed up and fake. It's more often than not just a fun incarnation of the turtles that we love.
Unless it is a very sussy person dressed up as a Ninja Turtle in Times Square hassling for money, then you could objectively call them a knockoff, a shitty knockoff at that.
Yeah, go for it.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you. Have a good one, folks.
Like and subscribe, and praise the mighty Jimmy.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, guys.
Like and subscribe, and praise the mighty Jimmy.
All right, have a good one, folks.